Good evening, everybody, and Thank you for joining us on a good Friday evening, no less. Well, glad you guys joined us. I got the master of front end alignments on tractors, as you can hear in the background.
So what we're trying to get done so we can get it to the field.
Hey, I beat you to the field, and it still ain't helping none.
Yeah.
I got you have one set of problems, and I have another.
Well, better to get rid of them now than in the middle of a field when it's hot.
Yeah, I know. As we go into this year, you and I talked about a little bit about this yesterday and the day before. This episode, you were in a drought, coming out of a drought last year, and we were talking about your corn and how it was turning out. Corey was talking about his drought, and here we are starting the first of the season
In a drought.
in a drought.
Yeah, to not get hardly any rain in February. March was 80 degrees. It was weird. It'd be 75, 80 degrees in the day and mid 30s at night for us. And we weren't getting moisture, and it seems like I can tell you right now, if you could plant corn in Kentucky, some parts of Ohio, where those systems are going through, that's probably going to be your garden spot if they can keep a crop alive.
Yep. Yep. I agree. Now, Corey may actually have some rain this year. He may actually have a little bit, but it's still dry up north in in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And I talked to somebody about 30 minutes ago in Northwest Georgia, Tennessee, and Northeast Alabama, and they've either got fields too wet they can't get in or bone dry in the same field.
Yeah, there ain't no in between this year.
There is no in between this year. There's a lot of stupid stuff happening right now. I'm going to tell you, this year is going to be a make or break year for a lot of farmers.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard some guys getting operating lines cut off, and I think this is one of those years where if you've been monitoring biology in your soil, fertility release, um, even if you're seeing lower moisture levels, some of the early PGRs were running last year in that drought. That kelpine, I can't say enough about that kelpine, man. Um, it really did save us. I mean, it was an easy 13, 17 bushels. And if you can tack on, 13, 17 bushels for $5, $6 an acre. I actually had a buddy call me the other day and was telling me about some issues they were having, and was telling them about a product you got, just holding some nitrogen in there. I think they're going to call you and try out some of that humic. I think this is the year where you can find value in a couple dollars and turning it into more dollars. That's who's going to come out on top at the end of the season, whether it's the
Yep.
highest yield or not. That's going to be the most economical.
And it's going to be the simple things.
Yep.
Plain and simple. It's This is a simple year. Not complicate everything, but go back and look behind you.
Well, $8 corn makes everybody look good, and $4 corn weeds a lot of people out. And corn might be pushing 5 on the board, but where input prices are, uh, you know, that's really taking a lot of value off that board price.
And since input prices, your nitrogen prices have gone up, your potash prices have gone up. If it makes $4.80 corn look like $2.40 corn.
Well, look at cotton. Cotton ain't looking that good for $1,000 an acre. I don't. That's one thing I ain't never got to talk to anybody about is how even peanuts are done. Are you having to do the same as a cotton producer and pretty much take a group price at a certain elevator
Yeah.
for for peanuts, or can you?
It's pretty much a set price across the board, and they'll set a low price, and you'll actually watch, and you can watch the peanut groups, and you can watch the different farm groups, and you'll see who's gonna. It's basically who's gonna be the first to step up and sign at what price.
Yeah. And then
This year, this year's
somebody
going to
does
be
that,
real interesting for peanuts, because one of the bigger uses of peanuts actually goes into humanitarian aid. And some of that has been halted for temporarily. Now, will it be back before we go back into season? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
well, I mean, and then you look at the, fertilizer. I mean, chemistries came down quite a bit. I mean, we picked up our last load of chemistry this week. I try to, I don't know how you are, but all the people that have been good to us and help us and answer questions, I always try to buy at least a little bit from everybody. And
Yep.
and Michaela over at Triangle Chemical, they have always done a good job. And if we've wanted to figure some new stuff out, they've always been there to help us. And so we always try to make a trip down to Linwood to pick some up down there. And even this year I got some new stuff to try. I did get some Grow Pack AI. We're going to give that a shot. And then a buddy of mine, John, he went to some stuff to try. I never had heard before. Got one called Bytender, and we don't really have a lot of income. And then they got here. I don't know. I'm probably going to butcher this name, but it's AZ Steroid. For in furrow, we're going to give some of their products and put them in some plots. And then Scott from Ag Explorer, upward this year. And once again, I think that's how you have to look at farming. Is put in some 5-10 acre size plots beside of some treatments, some controls, and see what's actually putting money on the farm.
Yep. And it's just like you and I, we've got there's some pretty good trials coming out even for our products. And that's the thing. You're going to have to look at trial data this year, and that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
So have you got the tractor put back together yet?
So that tie rod in right there was almost out. I got it put back together. I put a little Loctite on there. I'm probably going to regret that one day. But
Well, now,
if that thing would have come off,
just so you know, we're all looking at the Helen Keller version of your tractor.
what?
We can't see it.
You can't see it.
No, it's black. Your
You can't
camera's
see
not
it.
on. Your camera's not on.
You can't see me. I can see me on here.
Well, you can see you, but we can't see you.
It still ain't on.
No.
It's got to be on your end because I can see me.
I'm telling you. All right. I'm telling you, we can't see you.
That's insane. I don't know what to do because my camera's turned on and my mic's turned on both. You want me to leave and come back in?
We hear you quite well.
You want me to leave and come back in?
If you want to.
Well, listen, Brian's on here. Well, yeah, yep. Hang up and call back in. That's in the comments. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, gang, while Russell is trying to come back in and join us, we'll keep on going. We've got some really great sponsors this year that are out there. We've got the Bass Agency. We've got Ag Explorer. We've got Fish Head. but we're gonna look at all the data as you go through this year. Look at all the data coming in as you're planting. Now we're already over half. Well, we're almost done. Oh, there it is. Ah, looky here. We have Mr. Russell. We can see you. Russell.
I can hear you. I'm just trying to get my Bluetooth back on. Every time I come in the studio, I have to turn my Bluetooth off and then turn it back on. I ain't never had to do this before.
Oh, don't feel bad. I was trying to shoot video today. Doing something, and after I had looked at the GoPro afterwards, which there's no way to retake some of the shots, the GoPro was shooting straight down. All you
Yeah.
could see was straight down.
Well, at least you got my camera now, but I'm out of the shop, so y'all ain't gonna be able to see the tractor.
Now
Well,
Russell,
wait, maybe I shouldn't have put that in my tagline. Maybe that's what jinxed me.
Renegade Farmer says, gotta love technology. Russell, as we're going through this year, you made some changes to your planner, correct?
Man, we made a lot of changes.
You always make changes, and they're always cool changes, but nobody gets to see them till the next year, and by then we're all behind the time making it.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you the number one thing that paid off in 2024: closing wheel gap.
Yes.
Um, if if you're going deeper and trying to set a deeper rooted seed, the average gap between your closing wheels where you're closing that furrow up, you've got to make some changes on that. That is the one thing that probably helped us get extra air pockets out. We saw better emergence. Um, that that gap down there really, I mean, we had everything from a half inch. Let's see, we had a half, 3/4 inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, and inch and 3/4. Um, so, and where we're going a little bit deeper, um, that that probably inch to inch and a quarter was probably the best for us.
Was it really?
Yeah, I mean, some of the super deep stuff we did would have probably been a little bit better at that 3/4 range, but um, it just seemed like those yetter twisters that were running and crumbling that sidewall. Um, some of the first episodes in season 2, man, our germination was on point. I mean, when stuff came up, it came up very very even. Um, you know, change that double disc opener. That's a big conversation that we've had. And I shot some content for Seth to put out on social media here during plant season. But if you're going out there into strip till or conventionally tilled ground, having an inch and a half to inch and 3/4, 2 inches, bearing blades touching is probably good enough. But if you're going to try no till, you really need to be preloading those bearings a little bit more. And obviously, yeah, it's going to wear on them a little faster. But as cheap as double disc openers are, it's better to have your seed in the right place and a better emergence. I mean, we've been loading ours 2 1/4, 2 1/2. That 2 1/2 mark, I think, is where we're going to stick at. That way, we're not pushing them blades apart with a little bit harder ground in these no-till conditions, so that we're making a true V and not that W. So, switched all of our Keaton seed firmers. All those got switched over to the Quick Connect ones. Mojo wires. I'm a big proponent of Mojo wires. That'll wear Keatons out faster, but man, you're getting 75, 80% soil touch and surface on that seed, getting it in the bottom of that furrow and firmly pressed down there. And typically when I hear guys talk about Keatons dragging seed, it's because they don't have enough pressure on them. It's just barely getting enough to roll them. So, you know, we spent some time. I mean, we spent some time on the planter and got it dialed in. Went through the meters, and we even rebuilt our meters, replaced all the bearings in our V set and V drives, um, just because of how many acres was on them, and you know.
All right, let's talk about that. How many acres do you guys get? How many acres do you normally let get on it before you change them over?
Are you talking about on the double discs?
Yep.
In our clay soils with a bunch of rocks, I mean, honestly, I should be doing them before 2 years or two planting seasons. You know, if you're running your double disc openers and they're getting really shiny, that means that you have very abrasive ground, and you're wearing that metal down, you're wearing that
Yeah.
bevel down. I mean, I essentially typically run on that bevel. I don't ever let it get to the end of the bevel. I'll let it get about halfway through. I'd have to go back and look, but I want to say, if I remember correctly, I think those are what, 15 and a half inches, and we typically give them about 3/8 of an inch of wear. Um, I mean, if you really start putting the numbers to how much you're going to spend on a set of double disc openers versus losing 10, 15 bushels to the acre, um, it just doesn't make sense to run them things all the way down to the nub like some people do.
No, it doesn't. You actually, when you look at the long term effects, people think they're saving money by letting them go. They're not. It's costing them money in the long run.
Well, I mean, if you look at a really nice set of heavy duty 3.5 millimeter blades, like we've been running these wear part blades that are heat temperature, and you know, you're going to spend probably $100 a row to replace them. When you start looking at, you know, we've done some ones like, you know, we've intentionally ran 2 rows and planted 2 rows side by side. So, you know, we had 4 rows in you know, when you go back to harvest, and they were easily 10, 15 bushels off. So, you
Yeah.
know, you're only talking about 10 acres to pay for that set of double disc openers. That's a pretty dang quick return, is just having 10 acres on a set of blades at that kind of loss.
Well, and that goes back to something we were talking about today. And I wish I had gotten on here early enough to load the pictures on here. We have 2 rows out of the 8-row planter. We have 2 rows consistently. The corn's 2 inches below all the other corn. Now, is that closing disc? Is it in furrow? We're not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure.
What are you saying 2 bushels lower?
No, all of the plants are running. We're running around 12 inches, except there's 2 rows that are down between 8.5 and 9 inches tall. That's it. So there's 2 rows on that planter side by side that are, it's either in the in furrow or it's in the wheels.
What kind of down pressure are you running, Brandon?
I'd have to look. It's the
I mean,
here's the bad thing. That planter's only 2 years old.
well, I mean, the possibilities, you're right. So one would be closing wheels, and you're not getting those air pockets out of there, and that's making it dry out, and you're already dry, so that would be pretty prevalent.
Yep.
You know, you could see, you might, you know, that's why, like, we're running those precision flow meters, and they are great when they work. But, you know, like the comment earlier about, you know, when technology doesn't work, you get them things off by, you know, 0.1 gallons to the acre, and that 2020 will make sounds that you'll hear in your sleep.
Yep.
And it's good to know that, because, I mean, when you're running fulvics and humics and all this other stuff, red balls don't work.
No, and I'm not so sure that that's not the issue. Is it that it's in the precision side, because and that now he just said that we forgot the time to those 2 rows, and that very well could be. Very well could be.
Because you could have been putting on a lower rate and just not known it. and
Yep.
you're seeing a difference. If it's consistent all the way across the field, it's going to be mechanical or that fertility. I mean, that's the only thing it could be. And
I'll
you know,
send you I'll send you a picture of it tomorrow. It
and
it
and
goes on my wall of shame.
and I've seen some heavy dirts before where you're probably out there mudding it in, and you're smearing sidewalls with double disc and compacting sidewalls with too much down pressure. But if you see that, that would be because your rows aren't closed at all. You'll see them rows start splitting open where you're mudding it in, and if you're not seeing that, that's going to eliminate that.
Yep. So, well, let's get on. Let's drop into our lovely episode tonight, and let's discuss the weather. By the way, this episode was shot just prior to Helene, correct?
Yeah, yeah. We had our field day. I believe that was around September the 14th. So yeah, it'd have been about 10 days before Helene hit. So
it was about a little bit after Debbie and a little bit before Helene.
yep.
Let's just hope we don't have a year that way this year.
I'll tell you what. If any farmers listen, I can tell you right now, take it with a grain of salt. You might have a good insurance company, but they ain't as good as the Bass Agency, because the last thing that I had to worry about was anything to do with that, and they made sure that we stayed on time and got everything appraised, and those guys really took care of us after the hurricane. I definitely would recommend, if you ain't even got crop
Absolutely.
insurance,
Absolutely. If you have any doubts or questions, they're always there.
Yep.
Well, without further ado, let's get to that great corn. Well, all right, let's get to that dry corn footage.
Yeah, I was going to say, roll that dry popcorn footage.
And here we go.
It's time for new season of top crop. The health of our soil is going to contribute to us making money.
I call it turning trash into cash.
I'm still looking for big wins.
I think it looks good.
Welcome back, season 2 of Top Crop. September 19th, we're here rolling the corn in Cedarville, Ohio, fighting Mother Nature once again, but this time with the dryness of a drought. We need some rain. We could use some rain. We're hurting, but we're gonna make it work and we're gonna fight through it. So welcome back. We are in Colosse Lake Sion 8700. 18-row Gearenhoff roto disc head. There's a lot we're still learning about tar spot, okay? Yeah. But boy, did we learn a lot this year. I don't know how much I'm ready to talk about it yet, but I will say this. What we're learning is it is in our soil or in our plants a lot earlier than we ever imagined. We actually did some V5 applications and didn't do V5 applications, and where we did not do the V5 applications of nutritionals and fungicide, it got completely riddled with tar spot, which that was the least of my worries on that. I never dreamed it would matter that early, and so we're seeing a bunch of that this year. Shocked the crap out of me. And then being this dry, I don't know. I can't explain it. I'm not the only one that's seen it though either. Still a lot to be learned about tar spot, and we're all learning on the go. But that's one big thing that we learned this year, and would love to have somebody chime in and fill us in on why that's happening. With a PhD. Copper is the organic fungicide. Yep, so you can tell a lot by a plant, especially when you do a tissue test on its copper number, how healthy it is. Copper is more of a natural fungicide. The field we're in right now is 90 acres. 5 semis we got rolling right now. Molly bee is a big play. Up here, we have abundance of it. It's not that big of a play. Gotcha. So it's all pretty much relative to where you're at, what your soils have. Out here, we have tons of chloride. Out west, they have zero chloride in their soils because they don't ever use potash. Potash is potassium chloride. So, you know, you go out to Kansas and out west, they're blessed with 8% K-saturated soils. They don't use potash. So it's all relative to your area and where you're at. We all have different, you know, micronutrients that we all fight with and got to pay attention to if we're going to maximize our yields. So you just got to kind of know, you know, what's in your area that you should be concerned or looking for, not just what you hear on TV or from what somebody else says, because we will all fight a different micronutrient or a trace element in different locations. Well, because you might be more abundant in one.
Right.
Take a big one here, for example.
Well, that would only change like how much you use, not the ratio.
Well, how much you have. But like magnesium, okay?
Yeah.
So here in Ohio, we have a hard time with magnesium because we have such tight clay soils. So somebody that might live, you know, in Tennessee or somewhere might go, holy crap, that's a terrible magnesium number. And we're like, heck no, that's a great magnesium number, because it's just the type of soil and the makeup that we have. So, you know, there's not a blueprint that you can just hand somebody that's going to fit them all the way across the United States. It'd be nice if there was, but there's not. We're all going to have different challenges and different goals everywhere you farm. And just try something outside the box. I've used apple vinegar, apple cider vinegar. I've used Tylenol, aspirin. You name it, you know. No, I'm being serious on crops. I mean, we've tried it. Just trying stupid stuff. Just see if anything sticks or makes a difference. I mean, for me, it cracks me up as farmers how much we worry about nutrition and what goes into our plants. And then we look at our bodies and we're like, ah. Quit taking my Flintstones about 40 years ago. Right now we're just looking for some of that high quality H2O. Oh no, I'm talking about rain.
Oh, right, from the sky.
Yeah, from the sky.
100%. So who's your football team, Corey?
Cleveland Browns and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Buckeyes are a powerhouse this year. They've got a real chance to win it all this year. I mean, 20 million in NIL money, we better be good. The old man. And Dad can't start a field until I adjust his computer, so. Hold advantage there. Another thing that we're doing, the sugars, octane. We gotta have that sugar. We gotta have the kelpine for the stress mitigation. And then the big one, something we found out just 2 years ago, we've been toying with and we found it consistent. Onward Max, 6.5 ounces. And let me tell you, the trials that we ran with that, there's a reason why it's going on every single acre of our corn.
Making some applications to some cotton, so we've got a product from Fish Head, fish manure. We use a lot of manures around the farm for fertility, and I know the fish manure has a lot of added benefits. We're gonna put it in one of our mixes. It's an organic soil conditioner, and we're gonna use it at foliar at 20 ounces to the acre. We're gonna do it twice. We're really looking forward to this more food for the biology, get it irrigated in. We're looking forward to some good results.
You've got 2 deck plates that are set up like this, and when the residue manager pulls the stalk down, this ear is going to come down and hit this deck plate, and it pops it off. And then the gathering chain's bringing in the header. The problem is when they're this small, it'll start bringing it down, and instead of hitting that deck plate, it'll go in between them. And it just lets it go down. It lets the corn ear get pulled down to the ground. And if you really want to know how dry it was, this is a big old oak tree here at the corner of the field. Look how much water it pulled in a circle and how much it hurt that corn within the circle of that tree. And then once you get outside the root zone of that tree, corn did fine again. That's how dry we were in the beginning of the season. That even a tree pulled it down that bad. Well, it's kind of like me and Lee were talking about cover crops and regenerative farming, soil health, whatever you want to call it. Us having cover crops and the ground covered and increased organic matter, for every 1% we increase organic matter, we can hold 27,000 gallons more water per acre. That's an acre inch roughly. So that means if this corn's using 1/4 of an inch a day, that gives me 4 more days that I can go through a drought stress or a heat stress before my neighbors are showing the same signs as me. So I can get 4 more days longer than they can. So this farm, we've increased organic matter on this farm by about 3%. So that gives me roughly 2 more weeks that I can go out, go without rainfall before I'm showing the same stress as a field right beside of me. Well, that's great, but if it doesn't rain for 60 days, you're still gonna have stress loss. And that's what we're seeing. I mean, for what we've seen our neighbors are having this or less. We've still got a lot of ears that are like this and like this. And so instead of picking 10, 20, 30 bushel corn, or some fields around here having no bushels, we're still able to go out here and get 100, 125, this right here is 175, 180. And so when you average this out across the whole field, if this field makes a 140 average, we're still making money. We watched our inputs. We cut, when we went through the drought, we started cutting back on some of our top dress nitrogen. We didn't put as many foliar passes on this year. And so we just don't have as much money up front in the crop. Now, if you got a farmer, that's what I'm really trying to get farmers to understand. If you go out in February, March, or April, and you're putting out all of your fertility, all of your nitrogen, and everything, and you're just super loading that ground up, because that is the easiest way to farm, is just put it all out there at one time. Well, if you go through a drought stress event, well, you're going to get less yield because of that drought. And 2, a lot of farmers don't understand, you hurt a corn plant with too much nitrogen during stressful times. That corn plant, if it can access that nitrogen, it's going to want to grow. And so you're forcing that plant to grow in the worst conditions possible because you've loaded up too much nitrogen on that field. And a lot of farmers don't understand that. And that's why we went to split applying, and now we're doing the fertilizer bar, we're doing a wide drop pass, and then coming over the top with the drone. And instead of having all that nitrogen loaded up front, we're putting that nitrogen on right when we're seeing rainfall events, and that plant can utilize that nitrogen, and it has moisture, and that's why we have healthier plants and we have better yield. And it's not the easiest thing to do, but in the grand scheme of things, we're paying to do it ourselves. Our cost is probably about $10 an acre. If you were to pay somebody to do that custom work, you're probably looking at $20, $25 an acre. Well, you're only talking about 5 bushels of yield difference. Well, right there, that ear and that ear, you're making way more than $25 an acre, split applying that nitrogen and split applying those nutrients and making those foliar passes. And so I think as farmers can start looking at making different application times and putting nutrients out there when the plant can use them and use them good, instead of forcing it and stressing that plant even more, that's when they start seeing whole farm averages kick up.
In the past 3 years, we're 365 GDUs behind schedule. So that is one of our concerns here. If we don't have solar, we don't have GDUs, we don't have photosynthesis, we don't have energy into that plant. So that's where, when you guys approached about Architect and being able to add that on at that V5 time frame, I was really excited for it. Definitely looks like it's doing its job here. I'm excited to take it to yield and see if we can't get it on every acre next year.
So this is Organics with deep injection. This is Organics with dry over the top. And it should be 18 rows to the next flag. And this is our Organics with dry fertilizer broadcast. The plant health is definitely better. We're seeing the first lower leaf is starting to stress a little bit. Here we might have been 1 or 2 leaves below the ear leaf that's already started to drop off and brown up. So I mean, the crop stress is a lot less where we had the Organics.
Hey everybody, everybody. Welcome to Top Crop TV. Shelby Fight here, and we are tiling today at Man Farms. It is a beautiful day, September 4th, 70 degrees out, and we are getting one of the home farms tiled that has needed it for quite some time. So we're still a little bit new at this, but you know, every job we do, we're getting better. So installing our own drain tile was something we researched for years. We wanted the capability to do it ourselves rather than hire that out. It would cost us more money. We weren't necessarily in control of everything that was happening. So we invested quite a bit of money to have the equipment so that we can install the tile ourselves. And because of that, now we have the capability to go to our current and future landowners and say, hey, is this something you'd like added to your land? We know the investment is worth it. We know that the yields will get better, the soil will get better. So that is really exciting for us as a farming operation to be able to do that. Someone said a long time ago, it's the best money over berry. And that is absolutely true. This is a phenomenal way to get a really nice yield increase right off the bat. That tile's working as soon as it goes in the ground. And you know, that's what we're about here on Top Crop TV, showing you what is going to provide the best ROI, and installing drain tile does that. This is a big investment for the operation, and you know, we're doing this project, and I hope it's going to last through my lifetime and hopefully my kids' lifetime as well. So this is a big job and a big undertaking, but you do it once, and you want to do it with the best equipment you can possibly have when you're completing the job.
Over time, the farmer or installation contractor was coming to a conclusion that installing 1-foot sections of tile in comparison to installing 300-400-foot rolls of tubing would be a lot more economical and a quicker installation. Some of the quality of the old clay tiles are still running well, where some of them are broken down over time. The benefits of the plastic seems to outweigh the old clay tile in most areas at the current time. There's a couple different hole patterns. The one currently in the field that we're in right now is a staggered slot, which is like a normal clay type soil slot. We also do make an 8-slot tile for a very heavy clay soil. What they call Paulding County or Northwest Ohio clay soils is 8-slot. Then we do also make a 1/16 slot, which is a 1/16-inch slot, which is a combination of a kind of a sandy soil to like a clay soil combination. And then we do make a knife cut tile. Knife cut is for heavy sand where there's sand pretty much in the entire field itself.
Putting a lot of tile in the ground today. We did our 8-inch mains yesterday, and today we moved on to do our 4-inch laterals. It was very nice to have a map and, you know, have something to go off of, because we want to make sure the plan's laid out correctly, you know, depth is correct, and spacing and all that. So we got real organized this winter when I sent, you know, all the files over, and then, you know, he sent the shape file back, and we had everything we need to stick on the flash drive, put in the plow, and now we're out here doing it.
Choose your herbicide. Choose your pest protection. Choose AgVenture. The latest trait technologies featuring the power of the Enlist weed control system, plus the quality and service you know and trust. Produce more bushels with 4-seed Enlist and PowerCore Enlist corn from AgVenture. Visit agventure.com/corn traits to get a whole farm solution with the latest corn traits.
We want the bottom canopy to be healthy with a good fungicide. We use Revitec on it. It's really going to help that bean finish off strong.
Beans are coming right along. We've used Revitec and Reviloc for our soybean fungicide, and we've used Revitec for years. Probably absent of disease just because we've got the Revitec out here, but just mainly for the plant health.
We think we got a pretty good chance here to throw up a pretty big number. It'll be interesting to see. Well, we're off of Rakestraw Road here in Cedarville, Ohio. We're farming 107-day corn. Extremely dry. We was here a little bit earlier. Way too inconsistent, so we waited About 10 days, came back, and now it's about 15% moisture. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I guess that's free drying. That's what everybody tells me. It's the way I'm going to look at it. Blah, blah, blah. We run from 105 day all the way up to 120 day varieties. And the reason why we do that is our optimal, moisture that we want to harvest corn at is 23%. That's where we feel like the highest yields at. And that, yeah, you can just throw that playbook on out the window. Everything went from 40% to 15% like that. But we haven't had a measurable rain, and I can't tell you how long. It's actually just got released today or yesterday. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. So right there's the drought monitor for Ohio. That's our county. That's where we farm. These guys here in the dark red are running about 20 to 30 bushel soybeans and 80 to 140 bushel corn. So say a prayer for them because it is rough. So as you can see here, we are in an extreme drought. Extreme drought. So I don't know what to tell you. Can't control Mother Nature. That's the cards we were dealt. My opinion, we're very fortunate to have what we have. It could have been a lot worse. I'm amazed by how well both corn and soybeans are doing with this lack of rain and the heat. Man, it's been hot. Man, we've been flirting with 90s pretty much the entire month of September. And it's putting a hurting on us. We're afraid for field fires, combine fires, different things like that. It's just not good. Hopefully we get some rain. I mean, we've even had we've had 2 different hurricanes that came up through, and our air mass is so dry it just broke it apart, and we didn't get any moisture from it. So part of it, we can't control it. Right now we'd just like to get some moisture, just settle the dust, just to help with field fires, combine fires, and tillage. We're that dry. Yeah, we're about a little over 600 acres of corn done, 550 acres of soybeans done. So I mean, we're just now getting our lips wet here. So we're a full bore now, but got a long way to go. Just hope everything stays together and keeps plugging along. I'd say this year, as of now, we're about 25% down on yield compared to our previous 3 years. That's not saying that there's not some good spots, and that's not saying that there's not worse spots. This is the year of extremes. You get in the black ground, I've seen 350 to 400 bushel corn. You get on a clay knob, and I've seen 100 bushel corn. So, we're all fighting fat averages right now. But the one thing that I will say is, big lifesaver this year has been the Kelpine product from Advanced Yield. I'm not one to toot my own horn, trust me. But when I hate when that product has to shine, because when that product shines, you're not going to like it, because that means we're fighting extremes. And once again this year, though, it did its job, kept the crop alive for as long as it did, and big yield swing where it is and where it's not. So very happy with that product. Great insurance. Another thing that amazes me is, 2012 was another really dry year. And then we look 12 years later, 2024, and it just amazes me how well all the hybrids across the board, I don't care what company you go with, just the drought stress and the heat tolerance, where we have gone with technology, so much better. It takes 5 years for them once they come up with a hybrid to start it, see it through. So you got to think 2017-18 is when the game started changing, and here we are in 2024, and it's a lot better than it was in 2012. I can tell you that. You can at least still hear the corn going through the combine. It's dead silent. It sounded like raindrops hitting the rooftop. All you heard was the fodder going through. Hear that munching sound? Yeah, there's none of that. It's more of a full package approach. Yes, the kelpine helps, but you know, if you're hungry and you don't have anything to eat, what are you going to look for? Something to drink. You guys ever drink too much water and then you get a bellyache, or you know, then you sit down at the dinner table and you know you're not hungry anymore because you just drank too much? Well, you know, plants, corn, same way. So if it cannot find, you know, food to eat, it's going to look for water. Well, if it can't find water, it's going to look for food to eat. And you better have enough food out there for it, and it's going to go fast. So a lot of these foliar packages that we did, especially at Tassel, has really helped this corn. The sugars that we put on, the PGR that we put on, both from Ag Explore, fungicide from BASF, the kelpine, all that stuff really plays hand in hand to help keep this crop together, enough food, a band-aid to try to push it on through. So that definitely plays a big role into this, because we didn't have anything to drink, so it's got to eat.
Well, we do got to eat. Some of us got to eat better than others.
Hey, I just went and picked up Texas Roadhouse for me.
I was fixing to ask you what you got for supper. I knew where you were going.
I got me a Caesar salad, a steak, some French fries, and just because I love my wife, I got her 12 extra rolls with honey butter.
Oh, sucking up with Heather on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I gotta do something to get her off this. I don't know if you can see all them chickens, but we've been collecting them glass chickens on nests. Might put her on an allowance.
By the way, how's her back doing?
Hey, it's been hurting about every day. I mean, it ain't broke no more, but you know, I'd say before too long, she's probably going to have some screws put in.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you. Once your back's messed up, that's a hard thing to deal with.
I mean, the one thing I'll say is what Corey was saying there at the end, and I don't think a lot of people pay attention, is that kelpine really paid off for both me and him. And for so many years, I heard people talk about how foliar passes didn't pay and foliar spraying doesn't work. If you don't do it right, I agree with that. But if you pay attention to timing and temperature, man, that's a game.
I'm gonna tell you, foliar passes absolutely pay for themselves if they're done right. You went out on me again, Russell. Hello. There he is. Can you hear me? He'll be back. But yeah, you know, if your foliar passes are done correctly, they pay for themselves all day long. But anybody else want Texas Roadhouse rolls right now?
Not come back and been eating these Roadhouse rolls.
Huh?
I said I shouldn't have not come back and ate these Roadhouse rolls.
I know, that's what I'm sitting here thinking about. I'm sitting here thinking about Texas Roadhouse rolls and honey butter.
Well, Heather just listen. My heart sank because she said they didn't give us no honey butter, and I said, "Honey, I paid extra for it. I want you to look at that. Two of them.
You got enough to last for several days."
Yep.
Tell them when I was pregnant what happened.
They can hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, when she was pregnant, she had like a craving for honey butter rolls one time, and I went up to Roadhouse and I got 6 dozen rolls of and all the honey butter they had. Them girls was mad because it took them like 15 minutes to make all my extra rolls.
Oh, well, now when Robert and Danielle's mom was pregnant, it was Crystal Chicks, and the Crystal's restaurant was 31 miles from the house. I got used to 1 a.m. trips to Crystal's.
Yeah. No, I had a buddy one time. His wife wanted seedless watermelons, and it was like in the middle of February. No, I think this year we're going to focus a lot on unlocking nutrients.
Yes. Yeah,
There's a boatload of nutrients down there. You just got to learn how to unlock them.
and people don't realize that there are. Now, you don't want to actively do it year after year, but in tight years, there are enough nutrients tied up in the soil that you can squeak through.
I think you'd be surprised, buddy. Them TND tests that I just ran, in the top foot, I've got 15 to 18,000 pounds of potassium. I could unlock that for a few years if need be.
Absolutely.
One of the boys that brought hurricane supplies down here, him and a neighbor of his, he pulled some TNDs, and I looked at his, and he had over 1,000 pounds of phosphorus in the top 6 inches and over 8,000 pounds of potassium.
Well, I can believe that around here. The phosphorus around here is through the roof. It's tied up. You could go if you're using the right materials to unlock it. You could go quite a few years without ever running out of phosphorus. You must have got a phone call. Texas Roadhouse called and said they needed their rolls back. Russell? Uh-oh. Russell texted. Nope. There he is. Well, I will let you go eat your supper.
Well, buddy, it was fun to see you on a Friday night, but
Yeah, it was.
I'll try to join you on a Thursday next time.
I should have kidnapped you today and taken you with us to up to Andrews.
Hey, I got a funny story for you real quick. Airplane company lost over 50% of their acres to drones.
Yeah, I can believe that.
And there is like about to be a town war up in the Midwest over it. And the guy that has a few drones, he called me and he said, we know it's tight with tariffs, but how many do y'all have in stock? And I said, I have no idea. I'd have to call the boys at Best Way, but you tell me how many you need and we'll get you hooked up. He said, at this point, he said, I'm going to buy every one I can and get a pilot with a 107 license.
Now, I saw something today. One man running multiple drones.
Yeah, you can do swarm.
That was kind of cool. I saw something on that today in North Carolina while we were there.
Yeah, you can do swarming. It all depends on the manufacturer and if they've got their FFA or FAA compliance. But I think right now they'll allow you to do up to 3. And I think that they're pushing them to where we can get up to 5. So I mean, you get 5 drones out there, that's 150 acres an hour.
Yep.
That's ground rig acres.
Yeah. Yeah.
For 20% of the cost.
Yep, exactly. Unless you're, we learned today the new product Hognose. We've been putting it out on multiple fields, and we've been having results with it. But it is a little thick when you blend it.
Yeah.
Stinks to high heaven too.
Well, I mean, that's like we talked with one of your products, you know, just bump your rate up a little bit
Yep,
so you can
that's
thin it
it.
out.
That's it. So, all right, buddy. Well, I will let you go eat supper. So
Hey, I'll call you tomorrow. We'll catch up.
that'll work. You guys have a great weekend, and to
Thanks
all the
for
rest of
joining.
y'all, you guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Y'all have a great weekend. Have a happy Easter, and we'll see you guys next week, next Thursday night. Same place, same channel, probably same time. See y'all.
See you.